Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another Battlefield 2042 video. And in today, we're going to be looking at 5 things that you might have missed in the new trailer. It was action-packed, absolutely action-packed. There was a lot going on in the trailer, so I want to break down a couple of things and the 5 main things that I picked up, which look really, really cool, and I think is going to make the game just stand out so much more than any other shooter this year. Now, without further ado, guys, let's get into it. So number 1 is right at the start of the trailer, and this one is around the grappling hook, which is a piece of equipment which you can use within the game. And obviously you can see that they jumped off a building, utilized the grappling hook to alleviate themselves onto a crane, and from them obviously that's where the combat would start and the different movement mechanics and things like that. And that's where it's going to be sick to grapple from building to building, or to go from place to place, or potentially even grapple onto different vehicles, so helicopters or even jets if you're quick enough, or even some vehicles down below as well. And I think that would be really, really cool. Potentially the grappling hook has different uses as well. Maybe you'd be able to grapple for weapons from far away towards you. Potentially even you could grapple down teammates and bring them towards you whilst you're behind cover and they're in the middle of gunfights. I don't know, just some ideas I'm throwing out there, but there's a lot of usage that you can use with this grappling hook. And obviously the main one that we've seen in the trailer was them utilizing it, grappling from a building to a crane. So one of the things I've taken out of this as well, looking at in the trailer itself, is down in the bottom right, obviously we can see this takes 1 slot of your 2 equipment slots, and when it's used, it didn't look like it was on a recharge. It just looked like you could use it as many times as you wanted, and it could be kind of abused, which I don't know how I feel about. I feel like it needs to be on some form of a cooldown, because if it's not, it could be abused and people could freaking be like Spider-Man going between buildings and just freaking grapple hooking, and I think it could be a little bit broken at times. So I feel like that could be a good balancing move to have it on a cooldown. It didn't look like it on the video, but again, I could be wrong. There could be a 15 to 20 second cooldown. I have no idea. But yeah, you don't want to be web slinging between skyscrapers. That would just be ridiculous. And obviously you can grapple onto helicopters. That would be mad. And then grapple off the helicopter onto a building or something. I mean, the movement within the grappling hook could be absolutely endless, and it could be really, really cool. But at the same time, you don't want it to be too broken. You want it to be as balanced as possible. So again, that's just one thing that I picked up as well. Moving on to the second part, and again, that's the scalability of the buildings and the different heights and levels on these maps. So obviously we've got to know 3 maps with it at the moment. We've got the ice map, we've got the map with a big city, and of course then we also have the map with the beached cargo ship, which we see in a sneak peek in the trailer and a little bit in this reveal trailer as well, as you can see on screen right now. And the scalability of these maps looks great. It looks really, really good. There's lots of heights, and there's lots of obviously grounded levels, and there's different levels of the maps. And that's what I like in a Battlefield game. In Battlefield 4, there was a couple of maps where you could go on top of buildings and things like that. You could use helicopters to scale and things like that. And obviously that is Battlefield at its core. However, in Battlefield 2042, they've kind of upped the game a little bit with that. And what I mean by that is there's no just going up an elevator and sitting on top of a building, and there's only one or 2 ways up. One way being the elevator, the second way being a helicopter or something like that. That's not the case anymore. You can now use different mechanics, like you can use the grappling hook to maybe grapple onto a helicopter whilst it's flying up, and then to alleviate yourself onto, or sling yourself on top of the building. You can use obviously the lift, as we mentioned earlier on. You can use just a general helicopter to get up there, or there's zip lines that you can use to get from building to building. So you could be on a particular skyscraper, and then you want to move to another skyscraper. So instead of actually going down and going to the bottom and then up again, or going from a helicopter to the building and risk getting shot, you could just go on the freaking zip line from skyscraper to skyscraper. And that's again a good way to get from one skyscraper or one building to another. And I feel like there's a lot of buildings that are going to be obviously linked together, and obviously we've seen that in the trailer, going from one zip line to the other and going from one building to another. And yeah, it was really, really cool, and there's a lot of scalability for it as well. Multiple maps with loads of different levels, and then loads of different ways of getting from high places to other high places, just to keep the verticality there as well. So it doesn't just mean that you're going to get people camping on top of buildings constantly. There are going to be different ways and different levels for people to essentially have a fairer gunfight. And if they wanted to have 10 people on one skyscraper, then they could have another 10 people, the enemy team, on another skyscraper, and they can fight between the 2, and they can obviously go between the 2 and try and take them both, or try and take another one back, or you know the drill. It would just be so cool. Number 3 is around weapon customization and the new system called the Plus weapon system, where on screen right now you can see a guy jumping in an elevator and essentially changing the attachments and the configuration of his weapon in game without using any menus, without pressing start and going into create a class, without dying and changing your class. You can do it all in game, and for me, that's massive. It's really, really good. My reaction during the trailer itself was just, I was absolutely gobsmacked that something like this was coming to Battlefield. This really gives me Dead Space vibes, and the reason for that is because with the Dead Space, a lot of everything was done in front of you. There were no menus, there was no pause menus, nothing like that. You literally, everything was done on your character, in engine, in game. There was no pause menus or nothing like that, and that's what I like. You stay in the action, you know what's going on around you, and you can change your configuration depending on your playstyle at that particular time. When he was entering the elevator, we had an ACOG scope on, no suppressor, no grip, nothing like that. But then when we got into the elevator, because we're going into more close quarter gunfights, they then took the ACOG scope off, put a red dot sight on, put a suppressor on, and then also put a grip on as well to aid recoil. And that's because we're going into more close quarter fights on top of the building. I loved the idea of that, and I just feel like it's going to give you the option of so many different play styles, and especially if you're on a big map of Conquest, you can have an ACOG or a sniper scope on your gun to go for those longer range fights. If there's, say, 15-20 enemies on a Conquest flag, you can shoot from a distance, and then once you've took a couple of them out, you can push in and change the scope to a holographic or a red dot, put a grip on, put a suppressor on so you're not on the radar, and you can take it a little bit more stealthy as well. And for me, the different play styles and things like that are absolutely endless, and to have something like that, the replayability of it is going to be massive, and the create a class system, I hope, is going to be huge on this. What I'm thinking potentially what it looks like is that I don't think that it's going to show you all of the attachments you've got available on that weapon. I think it's going to vary on the class that you do select or the specialist that you do select at the start of the game. So you'll go into the game with a set of attachments you can put on the plus weapon system. So for example, he did have an option or a configuration without a grip on, then he also had a grip, had a suppressor, and then he had no suppressor. He had a couple of different scope options, and then he had a stock option, I believe, that I think he put on as well. You can customize and equip the weapon plus system with the attachments that you want to change during the game as well. So a lot of that's done before game, and then it's interchangeable whenever you want within the game, which I think is really, really cool. And again, it's just to completely suit your playstyle and the way that you want to take the game on. On to number 4, which I know for a fact that nobody missed in this, but I want to bring it up anyway, and that's around the wingsuit. The wingsuit was a massive part of the initial reveal trailer and the gameplay reveal trailer towards the end. When they jump off the building, it looks like they're about to parachute, but no, he pulls out a freaking wingsuit and flies into the storm. And one of the main things about this little clip here and what it shows is from a previous leak or rumor, you can actually fly into the storm and use the wingsuit to gain speed, momentum, and then push yourself out onto some form of flag, objective, whatever it might be. And the plays are going to be absolutely endless with this. And obviously we've seen this in the initial reveal trailer where obviously they're getting pulled into the storm, and then when they do that, he jumps out of the vehicle, pulls his wingsuit out, flies around the storm, and he gains momentum. And even in this little clip here that we've seen, obviously when we're flying down, you can see that he's actually gradually going back up again because the wingsuit's momentum and is allowing them to do that. So I feel like there's endless possibilities for the wingsuit and the different plays you can do with it, so I'm really excited to try it out. But yeah, it's going to be so cool, and I literally cannot wait. And potentially things such as hijacking vehicles with a wingsuit, jumping off buildings, flying towards a helicopter, potentially hijacking a helicopter. Potentially you can do it with a jet if you time it correctly, and also dropping down from buildings, wingsuiting to vehicles or different tanks, hijacking them as well. I'm getting GTA vibes, but I feel like it would be really, really cool if you could do something like that. And then the ending one is massive in this game, and that is around dynamic weather. Now obviously you wouldn't have missed it in the trailer, but the massive storm and the sandstorm and things like that. But with the dynamic weather, it's going to change the way we play Battlefield. And one of the main things I picked up out of the trailer was an ever-changing battleground or battlefield or whatever it might be, whatever it was quoted in the trailer. But again, it stuck with me because that's exactly what Battlefield kind of always has been. I mean, in previous Battlefield 4, the Levolution and things like that, obviously within the map with the skyscraper can fall down and it will change the center of the map. The outside will stay the same, but the center of the map will change with the building falling down or the building still being there. However, this is taking it to an entire new level, and what I mean by that is obviously we've got a storm coming through. As you can see in the trailer with the storm, it sucks in all of the vehicles in its path, it will destroy buildings in its path, it will basically suck any player in that is next or near to that storm at the time, and it will change the way that you play the game. If you're going for for example, if the storm goes over a C or a B objective and you're literally this close to taking the objective, like really, really close, so maybe a second or two, and the storm pulls you away, you've not captured it. It changes the way that you have to play, it changes the way you have to adapt to the game. You know, maybe The building will fall down and the B flag will completely change location. You've got to try and push to the location again, and it's going to be absolutely endless in the way that people play this game, and it's going to change the way and make some absolutely insane plays. If you're in a helicopter or a jet and you're next to this storm, bro, that thing is pulling you in, and you've got to really control the vehicle you're piloting at the time, else you're going to crash into another vehicle in the storm, or you're going to just crash land and obviously die. So you need to be really careful with that, and I feel like that's going to be really cool, and it's going to take a lot of skill to be able to master and control that as well. So again, we'll see how that goes, but I'm really excited to see the endless possibilities of plays and gameplay and things like that this storm or this Levolution or the dynamic weather is going to bring to the table. And of course, it's not just going to be around the tornado. There was also a sandstorm in the background as well, which what it looked like within the gameplay reveal is that the sand will actually cover the majority of the city once it actually hits as well. So as you can see in the background, I'll put it somewhere, when the players are running towards the city and towards the action, the city's covered in sand, and obviously that's due to the storm pushing in, or the sandstorm pushing in and completely covering it as well. And you can fight inside the sandstorm, it just means visibility is going to be terrible, and again, that will change the way that it plays. So if you're outside during the sandstorm, you're going to have a problem. If you're inside of a building, you're most likely going to be okay, and the vision is going to be there. So again, it will depend very highly on what you do at the time, and it will change the way that you play the game when that sandstorm or storm hits. Again, potentially it won't just be only dynamic weather, there could be other things as well. I know there was leaked a while ago that there was potentially going to be a storm on the rocket map as well, with this based within Japan. So when that rocket does launch, a storm could hit as well, which could cause the rocket to explode, or even other things. I literally, there's endless possibilities. There could be tsunamis, there could be massive storms on other maps like the cargo ship and things like that, where potentially the water floods it back in and the ship's now on the water again and you have to use boats again. Complete ideas, just throwing them out there, but these are endless possibilities, guys, that we can look for in dynamic weather on Battlefield. And I'm really excited to see exactly what they're going to pull out of the bag with this. Guys, there were 5 things that potentially you might have missed that I've gone into a little bit more detail about the trailer. I'm going to do a full trailer breakdown later on today as well, so be sure to stick around for that on the channel. That would be much appreciated if you can stop by and have a look at that if you're interested as well in identifying some of the more secretive, or exactly basically everything that was in the trailer at the time, and going into a lot of detail about it as well. But let me know what you think down below, guys, of these 5 points, and let me know what you think of the trailer itself. If you guys want to see my initial reaction to the trailer, then go in the description down below, or an annotation on screen right now will take you right there for that. But guys, without further ado, we'll see you in the next one.